2019 Under-23 cross-country world champion, your 2018 cross.
Limited attendance at the venue, but anticipation is high ahead of one of the most competitive races, expected to be one of the most competitive races. And this is the very challenging course they'll be tackling. It's 3.85 kilometers, in fact, in length. The start will take them up to the Amagi Pass, which is a challenging climb very early on. And then back to the start finish for their start loop of 1.3 kilometers. Back up Amagi, and then the first of 6 laps of this challenging course they will take on. It really is a challenge. Urin, a winding, rocky section they'll have to deal with. Into the forest. Chopsticks is a long drop off. A bit of air miles in their account there. Wasabi, the most challenging but short climb. And they head through the technical zone again. Karan Sansui is the big rock garden. It's a monster. You have to have your wits about you going through there. If it rains, that'll be really, really tough. 7 laps of the course they will do. 3.85 kilometers and a field of note. The defending champion, Nino Schurter, in number 1. Matthias Flukiger, the man who's been dominant this year. 2 consecutive World Cup wins in a row. Henrique Avancini from Brazil. The Romanian champion, Vlad Dascălu, the 2019 Under-23 champion. Then Anton Cooper, the New Zealand champion, is in there as well. Manuel Fumic in his 5th Olympic Games. Jens Schermans from Belgium. Peter de Serre, the Canadian. Max Freudel, the Austrian, looking to emulate perhaps the women's winner there. Kohei Yamamoto carries the hopes of the host nation as he sets off in his 4th Olympic Games. Well, it's all set and really is high anticipation. A small field, not like a World Cup field, this, but a very, very small field. So that's Milan Varda. Then alongside him, they all line up. There's Schurter, and alongside him, fellow Swiss rider Matthias Flukiger, the Swiss champion. The man to look out for, Mathieu Vanderpool, starting on the 2nd row. And, of course, down on the 4th row is Thomas Pidcock from Great Britain. And Pidcock is the man many are expected to do something special here today. He's got a lot of work to do to work his way through the field. So Nino Schurter, gold in Rio, silver in London, and bronze in Beijing. Can he become the most successful of all time? Julian Absalon has 2 gold medals. Can Schurter make it 2 as well? There is the man who could challenge him. Mathieu Vanderpool, fresh from 9 days on the Tour de France, a yellow jersey and a stage win there as well. And a list as long as his arm in terms of victories on the cyclocross and road. But this is something very, very different.
15 seconds. Watch the loss.
The green light goes, away they go for the start of the men's race in the mountain bike cross country in Tokyo. And the race is on straight away. The front row with Nino Schurter, Matthias Flukiger, Henrique Avancini, Jordan Sarru, the world champion, Andrzej Sink from the Czech Republic, a real 4-man, Gerard Kirschbaumer from Italy, Victor Koretsky, another Frenchman, and Milan Varda. Well, they're all swept up now as storming to the front. It looks like Jordan Sarru, the Frenchman, one of 2 Frenchmen in the field, heads off as they go up that first big climb, the Amagi Pass. And it's time to introduce to you, sitting alongside me and watching this race with great anticipation, is Rochelle Gilmore.
Yeah, I'm certainly very excited about today's race. The course looks very tough. The riders have described it as one of the most toughest courses they've ever raced at a Games. You can see riders already having trouble there, and we did expect this off the start, that they would come into a little bit of trouble there. I'm excited about seeing how Mathieu Vanderpool goes as he passes us there. He had a pretty good start off the 2nd line, but a few places to make up.
Yeah, this little technical section, there was likely to be a bottleneck there. There is a 1.3 kilometer start loop, which is what they're on now, before they head out onto the first of those laps on this very, very challenging course. Looked like Milan Varda, the young Dutchman, the Dutch champion, and he's a real talent, is the 25-year-old. One of 19 riders in this field doing their very first Olympic mountain bike event. Manuel Fumic doing his 5th, and Varda, one of 11 of them under the age of 25. Exciting times in cross-country mountain bike racing, with a whole swathe of young challengers looking to upset the apple cart But they're going to have to deal with the experience and skill of the likes of Schurter, Flukiger, who's in his second Olympic Games. Avancini, desperate for Brazil. He had a disappointment in Rio de Janeiro. 2 lines here. And Fada setting that early pace. Saru. And it well might be Schurter. Tom Pidcock is the man from Great Britain. We'll be looking to see how he goes. It is indeed Schurter going up that, at least Flukiger going up in 3rd place. There is Mathieu Vanderpool, and there is Pidcock. He's already made up almost 20 places right up into the sharp end.
Yeah, a big talking point for the Great British team is Tom Pidcock. Obviously, starting on the 4th line there, he had to put in a really good start to get up there with the leaders, and as we can see now, the rider's just settling into a bit of a rhythm, a high pace, always on that first short lap.
Milan Fada, Victor Koretsky, and then Matthias Flukiger lead them over the line after that first little 1.3 kilometers, and there's already a gap. And look at Tom Pidcock, he's right in the mix here. Amazing performance. Vlad Daskelu, the under-23 star. In there, Andrej Sink, man who's finished second twice this year in the World Cups. Gerhard Kirschbaumer, the Italian, on the right-hand side. Anton Cooper, the New Zealander, has had an excellent year. Cooper has put himself in the frame already. 3rd in Leogang earlier this year in the World Cup. And Avancini takes them up the climb a 2nd time. This is up that Amagi climb. It was a bit of a bottleneck first time round, but it's already thinned out. And Pidcock, amazing start by the British talent. Broke his collarbone in Andorra earlier this year when he was hit by a car in training. But has recovered, has had 1 World Cup since then.
It's quite amazing how quick riders do recover and return to racing after breaking bones these days, but obviously all the technology with machines that can help the healing, and yeah, nutrition plays a big part as well, but the riders obviously don't lose too much fitness because they can still, with a broken collarbone, use the indoor trainer, so they try to hold that fitness. But what an amazing start by Tom Pidcock. That was really impressive.
Sweeping down Avancini. Pidcock now in 3rd place. 2 options down here in the dust. It is going to be a factor. The heat is going to be a factor later on today, Rochelle, as this race unfolds.
Yeah, well, different riders obviously excel in different conditions, and a lot of these riders are used to racing in muddy conditions, and some of them favour the dry conditions and others the muddy conditions. Tom Pidcock just had to get off the bike there. There's been a little bit of a bottleneck. And
yeah.
I think we will see quite a bit of running in the first part of this race.
Yeah, this is the Wasabi climb. Very, very tough. But look at Matthias Flukiger riding it out there brilliantly.
Oh, fantastic job by Anton Cooper there, just to stay on the bike, keep the momentum going.
Andrej Sink, number 5 there, slipped very far down the field, as has the world champion Jordan Saru. He's probably down in outside the top 10 at the moment. But Milan Fada following Avancini. Pidcock recovered well. Then it's Schurter, then it's Flukiger.
Well, as we saw from the riders' comments before this race, they had the test event here in 2019 and expressed, that's where Schurter won actually, and he said that it's one of these races where there is no time to rest. It's going to be a very fast start. You need to have a good position, but then you need to be able to apply the pressure the whole way through the race. You can't really drift back and have a rest. You need to hold your position. So as you can see over the rocks there, very technical sections.
Yeah, they would have practiced the lines here. The Koransansui rock garden, man-made. It's incredible. This course built from scratch by Nick Flores from Peter Maritzburg and his team, with Tim Keep, I know, is there at the moment, but really, really excellent job he's done here. And it's bedded in. It's had an extra year to bed in that test event in October 2019. And, of course, because of the delayed to the Olympics, they've been able to see the course bed in. But a great start by Enric Avancini. He had a poor start to his World Cup here, Avancini, and returned home and has put in an intense training period. He won a race in Mexico, in Brazil, a couple of weeks ago, local race, just to get the racing juices going, and he looks sharp as anything. Milan Fada, the Dutch champion. Pidcock, Flukiger, all the heavy hitters there. Mathieu Vanderpool, Victor Koretsky won the first round of the World Cup. Kirschbaumann, Cooper, Dasculu, the youngster from Romania. Luca Braido, one of the 3 Italians. Only 2 nations have 3 riders in this field, Switzerland and Italy. 2 for 5 other nations, and then 1 all the way down. Filippo Colombo, the 3rd of the Swiss riders. Let's have a reflection on that start. Explosion of power off the start line. Much smaller field than these riders are used to when racing on the World Cup circuit. We're over 150 sometimes. Yeah, traction's going to be an issue. Quickly off his bike, Flukiger. But no problem at all there for Kirschbaumann, number 6, the Italian. Oh, look at the power from Fada.
This is certainly going to be one of the most toughest mountain bike races we have ever seen. The course is just hill after hill. There's no time to rest. You can see tired legs just trying to push up the climb there. You can't afford to make any mistakes. You really do need to have the perfect race here at the Tokyo Olympics for the mountain bike course.
What a spectacular section this is. Sweeping through the forest over the bridges. Avancini setting the pace. Fada has a look over his shoulder, sees the daunting figure of the 8-time world champion and current defending champion, Nino Schurter. 30 World Cup wins to his name, lurking on his wheel. Fada might be feeling the heat and the pace already. But I must say, Avancini looking very comfortable. Obviously still early days, first lap, and his custom Brazilian-coloured bike over chopsticks. A little air time here for the riders. Wonderful to see a crowd watching the riders. One of the events allowing limited spectators. Flukiger drops down. Anton Cooper. There's Andres Sink and Jordan Saru on his wheel. Not too many opportunities to pass here.
Ooh, little touchdown there by the French rider.
Slip out by Victor Koretsky. Avancini. Fada keeps glancing over his shoulder. He's feeling the heat, and they're starting to open a bit of a gap there because Schurter is really putting on the pressure. There's Alan Hatherley, the South African, just ahead of Sebastian Finney.
Certainly having a lot of trouble with the traction. They probably expected a little bit of rain we saw on the radar, but it's certainly dry out there. Here's the rocky section.
Spectacular. Oh, faller! And that's a key faller. Now that is Vanderpool. Mathieu Vanderpool has gone down. Well, this is always going to be a worry. He only arrived in Tokyo on Saturday, and Mathieu Vanderpool, a pre-race favourite, one of the superstars of cycling, has gone down in the first lap.
Yeah, it looks like he's holding his ribs there, so that might be the end of the race, I'd say, for Vanderpool. And there was talk about how difficult it is to come off a road bike. We're going to see a replay here.
Now, Milan Varda's gone through, the first of the Dutch riders, and Vanderpool goes down on the landing. Very heavy fall. Well, this is the difference. He's just come off a 2-week break. All right, he's been training, but he hasn't been on the mountain bike as much as these men, and he's just gone over the top. Heavy fall and big drama. One of the pre-race favourites, Mathieu Vanderpool, crashing on the first lap.
He's going to be super disappointed about that. I don't think there's any coming back from that fall. He was, just taking his time there to make sure that he was okay. But he's been really wanting to focus on the Olympic Games. He said even for Paris in 4 years' time, he wants to be in top form for the mountain bike race. That'll be his priority. So I think he might have taken a lesson out of riding the Tour de France just before coming here to the Olympics. He might need more time on the mountain bike before the next Olympic Games. But he was one of the exciting riders to watch here, and it might be the end of his race for Mathieu Vanderpool.
Well, that'll be a great disappointment to all MVDP fans, but the race is on up front. Well, we saw in 2016 how Peter Sagan decided to ride this race off the road and lasted less than a lap. He did puncture, didn't crash, to be fair. And it is a very different discipline. And that is why young Tom Pidcock is such a standout. The 21-year-old, he has put in time here. He's been training at home in the UK in a heat chamber to try and replicate the type of conditions they're going to experience here. And at the end of a training ride in the UK, he'd jump into a heat chamber for 30 to 45 minutes and pedal in a hot box very slowly in his spare room at home. And it helps him, he feels it'll help him cope with the heat here. A little bit of a gap here for Avancini, and Milan Fada now try to close it. He's got the heat from behind in Nino Schurter. Victor Koretsky on his wheel. There is Pidcock, Flukiger, and on his wheel Kirschbaumer. And Vanderpool is back up and riding. Well, now we're going to see something. Good to see he's not completely out of the race, but he's got a hard hour and a half ahead of him now, Mathieu Vanderpool. Of course, he's a multiple cyclocross world champion, and that's how he went down. Pidcock did very well not to get distracted, and the pain etched on the face of the young Dutchman. Well, good to see him back up and riding. Whether he continues to finish the race, we will wait and see. But that's the drama of cross-country mountain bike racing.
Yeah, we're bound to see more as the riders get more tired and tired. You can see they're settling in now a little bit. Tom Pidcock doing very well, but just leaving a little bit of gap in front of him. But you do see a difference when riders come into the Olympic Games. It seems to be the ones that are really dedicated specifically to that event and prepare specifically for it rather than just fit it into a big program. So it's next level when you get to the Olympic Games. There are riders that have spent 4 years preparing specifically for this one event rather than other riders mixing all different disciplines and having a busy program and just trying to fit things in.
A slightly different line taken down by Jose Gerardo Ojoya from Mexico as Vanderpool. He's a minute down. Well, we've seen him do some extraordinary things on the road, this man, so don't block him out of your book just yet. He is an incredible talent. He's won 3 World Cups, but those were back in 2019. Comes off winning a stage, the second stage of the Tour de France. Hugely emotional time for him there, and then donning the yellow jersey as well. Abandoned after 9 days to focus on the Olympic Games. Well, he needs all his focus now, that's for sure. Henrique Avancini of Brazil, the former marathon world champion, of course. Now the Dutch team deciding what the plan is for their man Mathieu Vanderpool. He may well have issues with his bike. André Sink, and then going through was the Frenchman Jordan Theroux, the world champion. But the top 4 at the moment: Avancini, Fader, Nino Schurter. Well, he's had a disappointing year by Nino Schurter standards, and now he will set the pace as he goes off the front. Nino Schurter. How is he going to try and defend his title? Well, he's put in an attack on the second lap, going into the second lap. Avancini must go. It is the world champion of 8 times and the defending champion up ahead.
Well, Schurter did say after that test event in 2019, you need to be in front and just keep applying the pressure. He said it's one of those courses you need a clean run, and he wants to be out there, so that was a very powerful attack, and that's what he's known for, his extreme power. But these 2 riders have closed him in, so...
Well, they're all on full suspension bikes. Schurter, I believe, riding the new edition of his manufacturer Scott bike, 120mm travel, which may serve him well as this race goes on. They're predominantly, well, between 90 and 110mm travel bikes. Fada taking the left line and paying off as he slips into second place just ahead of Avancini, Flukiger, Cooper, and then it was the Frenchman Koretsky. The French riders nicely positioned here, and Tom Pidcock, well, he's keeping his powder dry. There he goes. Pidcock. Well, Schurter's putting the hammer down here.
He is really putting the other riders under pressure. He is very well known for his technical skills when he's at his best. We could nearly even say that he has the best technical skills of any other mountain bike ever, so he's putting pressure on the other riders. And back to talking about the the dual suspension bikes. A long time ago, we used to refer to cross-country bikes as hardtail bikes. Now, nearly every rider is using the dual suspension, especially in a course like this.
What I think I noted, I'm not sure that Mathieu Vanderpool's got a dropper seat post. A lot of them will be using dropper seat posts. The seat post, which is electronically controlled from your cockpit, and you can drop the seat to lower the center of gravity as you go over the steep descents. Now, he looks across, I think, at his technical team as if to suggest this is going to be hard work, and can we change something? Well, not a lot at the moment. You've just got to ride flat out. Flukiger now in second place behind Schurter. Switzerland 1 and 2, Brazil 3. Anton Cooper, the New Zealander, then Milan Farder, Tom Pidcock, and Victor Koretsky. Kirschbaumer, Sink, Vlad Daskelu, Jordan Saru. World champion Saru's yet to win a World Cup race. That will count for nothing if he can pull this one off. Often the debate over what would you rather win, a World Championship or an Olympic title. In cycling, well, in many sports, an Olympic title sits with you for 4 years. For 4 years, you'll be announced as the Olympic champion.
I think being an Olympian or an Olympic gold medalist is just so well recognised around the world by anyone that's not even interested in sports. It's very quickly identified. So the Olympic Games is something that cyclists might play down a little bit in comparison to the Tour de France or World Cups. But certainly you'll carry that for the rest of your life. An achievement to be an Olympian or an Olympic medalist is something that's regarded and respected around the world.
Luca Braido, the Italian, up to 7th. Andres Sink after a poor start. Daskelu in 9th place now. Sue Hatherley of South Africa, the former under-23 world champion, in 11th place. There he goes, sweeping down into the forest. That's how you do it. Look at his dropper seat post down. And you can see these riders all with their seats lowered as they go over the rock drop. Kirschbaumer and Sink.
Well, they don't actually get a lot of time on this course to be in the saddle. The climbs are quite steep. You can often see riders out of the saddle, and when we get towards the end, they've just got to try and keep that traction. But without the dropper seat post, could be a very challenging ride for Mathieu Vanderpool if he plans to keep going through this race.
We'll crash through the gears for Filippo Colombo, the third of the Swiss riders there. He's the young talent amongst the Swiss camp. Brutally steep, this wasabi climb.
Well, the Swiss are looking strong now, just trying to put some distance into the other riders.
Well, they certainly are. Tom Pidcock keeping himself nicely positioned. It's all about dealing with these technical sections. As we've seen already, you get it wrong there and your day can end in disaster. There's so much technical work to be done in this course that you've got to be safe and solid through those technical sections, and it gets harder and harder, of course, as you go along because of fatigue and conditions. Well, look at Pidcock now up to 4th place. I haven't seen he's slipping back. Varda now in 6th place. Kirschbaumer 7th, Sink 8th. Then it's Daskelu. Alan Hatherley now into 9th, 10th place. 1 and 2, Schurter and Flukiger taking the opportunity to drink. On a course like this, vitally important to use every opportunity because there are not many.
It looks like Anton Cooper from New Zealand has made it into 3rd position with Tom Pidcock in 4th position.
The air that Schurter got over this rock drop. He cleared that last rock, it seemed. Unbelievable. It almost looked as though when Mathieu Vanderpool fell here that he neglected to really gauge the distance off that first rock.
Yeah, it's nearly like he wasn't aware of exactly what part of the course he was on, and that he had to make some height to get over those rocks because, he hadn't really got the height that he needed.
Yeah,
and
the speed as they sweep down back into the forest. Schurter. This will get more and more cut up. Lovely to see the youngsters. Cooper, well, he's not so young any longer, but Pidcock behind him. He will turn 22 at the end of the week. Unbelievable how he's risen through the ranks in London. Well, he was 11 years old, watching the man, a couple of riders ahead of him, ride to second place behind Jaroslav Kulhavi. And here he is. He only rode his first elite mountain bike World Cup a couple of months ago. Alan Hatherley gets past Vlad Daskaloo. That's a great ride by the South African. He's been a really consistent performer all year, has the South African champion. 26th in Rio, but he was 4th in the Leger World Cup, and the last time of asking, 4 World Cups this year, of course. The difference between this, of course, and the World Cups. The World Cup is a 6-event series starting in May and finishing in September. Courses predominantly in Europe, occasionally dropping down to South Africa and Australia and across to North America. And the accumulation of points over that series results in an overall World Cup winner. And the World Championship stands alone in Val de Soleil this year. Look at the air that these two get. Unbelievable. Pidcock, great skills from the young British rider. And Pidcock only qualified and got into the World Cup thanks to his win earlier this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, isn't it, when the riders have to actually peak for qualifying and then peak again if they do get qualified. So it's kind of a two-step process to get to the Olympics. You need to get into form to get qualification points, and then you need to get into form again for the Olympics.
Having said that, qualification for the mountain bike World Cup, for the Olympics, was signed and sealed before this event. The 2019 World Championships played a big role. It was complete by the end of 2020 in terms of the nations, the nationalities getting slots in. Thereafter, who those specific individuals were going to be as Flückiger goes to the front now. Pidcock into second place. Schurter slipped down into third. Perhaps the rotational cycle now. Then it's Koretsky and Cooper. Avancini. Flückiger leads them through the monster rock garden. Glasses fall off as Cooper sweeps through. Very similar lines. They would have drilled these down over the last week.
We've seen a couple of riders lose their glasses, and on such a dusty course it could make a little bit of a difference if they get something in their eye, but it's amazing how much the places are changing at the moment. The race hasn't really settled in, has it? It's just attack after attack, different positions.
Well, Flückiger has been the form man this year so far. His performance has been quite unbelievable. Won the Swiss National Championships, and that is like a World Championships when you're dealing with riders like this man, Schurter, Lars Forster, Sternemann, Frischnecht, and Colombo and others. And he's won the last 2 World Cups back-to-back on both the short and long course in Leogang and Leger a month later. He loves the muddy courses and the technical courses. Well, there's no mud here, but he's showing great proficiency here as Pidcock is on his wheel. Then Schurter. Koretsky won the opening round in Albstadt this year.
Well, Cooper
Only
from New
6
Zealand.
riders in this field who've actually won a World Cup. And 4 of them are on the front row.
Oh, you can see the fatigue setting in there now with the gap opening up.
Look at that gap now. It's starting to open up. 4 seconds, or a bit more than 4 to fifth place, but the gaps are really starting to open. 12 to Avancini in sixth place. Vada behind him. Andres Sink 17 seconds back. And there is Andres Sink, never outside the top 4 this year. Alan Hathley going beautifully, just ahead of Vlad Daskalu in 10th place. Well, slightly different lights, and there goes the glasses of Koretsky.
Phenomenal technical skills from these riders.
A glance over his shoulder to see what the effect is. Now, where is Mathieu Vanderpool in this breakdown? 1 minute and 4 seconds back. And he's got work to do. He's got the Mexican Jose Gerardo Ulloa, who famously won a short track race last year. It was really spectacular to see. He popped out of nowhere to win the short track in Nova Mesto. So it's starting to spread out now as the Swiss powerhouses on the front lay down the law. And Tom Pidcock, what a story that would be.
That would be a huge story from the youngster if he could medal here at the Olympics. I know he's going for gold, that's what he really wants, but he's up against some very experienced riders and riders who can handle pressure as well. But Tom Pidcock, he's also proved that. Looks like there's been a bit of a break established now. The front runner's just putting the pressure down for a lap.
Vanderpool now, well, a crash as such as he's had certainly dents the confidence, no question about it, no matter who you are.
Ooh, so do the Swiss, do they try to work together in an event like this, or will they just be attacking each other?
That's one of the great fascinations of cycling, isn't it, across the board? And
when there's an Olympic title up for grabs.
Exactly. You don't want to give it away, do you?
Yeah, earlier on we just saw them swapping positions. Maybe they were just kind of, okay, I'll take to the front now. And, you know, sometimes riders prefer to be behind and sometimes they prefer to be on the front in mountain biking, especially on a technical course like this. There's advantages of both positions, of course.
Well, there certainly is. I mean, they do share the workload. If there's a group up front, there will be a little bit of that going on, no question about it. Through the tech zone, vitally important.
I'm loving seeing the Kiwi rider Anton Cooper up there in 4th place at the moment. He had a devastating time in 2000 for the Sydney Olympics, 2012, where he was deemed too young by the Olympic Committee to start and to race. So he's had a fight in his hands since then just to get the opportunity to be at the Olympics. And it's great to see him now. He's sitting in 4th behind Tom Pidcock at the moment.
Well, Christchurch will be up and cheering for Anton Cooper, former under-23 champion, a Commonwealth Games champion in Glasgow. Hathley in 8th place now, just chipping away 4 seconds behind Avancini through the intermediate timing split. And a bit of a gap back to Milan Farda. Another look at the skill of these supreme athletes. Pidcock looks so comfortable. Well, after he'd won, and he'd won so emphatically by over a minute, no one has ever done that at Nova Mesto, when that race is what qualified him to ride for Great Britain at this World Cup. He said, I was born to mountain bike, albeit that he has medalled in elite level at the Cyclocross World Championships. He's won Brabantse-Pijl on the road. He's part of the Ineos Grenadiers road team, and he's been had a great classic season. He was a top tenner in many of those. He says, I was born to mountain bike, but he's got such a career ahead of him. can pick and choose, I'm sure, but not a bad place to start here. Top 3 of the mountain bike event in Tokyo. Pace being set by Nino Schurter. Glances up at the climb, the Wasabi climb, and up the saddle briefly. The Swiss are looking in control just at the moment. Cooper. There goes Flukiger monitoring the wheel of his partner and countryman. And these four, this quartet, are starting to put a bit of distance into the chasers. Koretsky, Sink, Avancini behind them. That's Sink number 5. Coming back strong is the Czech rider. Spent a year on the road with Bahrain Merida. Rode the Tour de France in 2017, did Koretsky. Tom Pidcock attacks. Pidcock of Britain goes past both Swiss riders. Incredible. Not too many opportunities to attack. Pidcock gets it right just on the rock drop and goes to the front in Tokyo. What an attack by Tom Pidcock. Saw the opportunity. There are not too many on this course, and he's put himself at the sharp end. There he goes. Now, he's decided to go early. Now, how will Nino Schurter respond to this? This is such a different event for Nino Schurter. The likes of Pidcock. I know Vanderpool is out of reckoning at the moment, but there are a whole lot of young riders coming into the picture now. And Pidcock has not done too many World Cups. Those that he has done, he's been hugely successful. As I said, one in Novo Mesto. Came back in Leger, crashed in the short track. Didn't go too well in the cross-country. But look at him attack here, out of the saddle. He's a real lightweight. He's had to find a suitable bike to ride because his Team Ineos Grenadiers don't. Their brand bike don't produce a mountain bike. So he's on a BMC 4-stroke full suspension. Out the saddle and digging deep. Here is Avancini. Starting to feel the heat from his trade teammate. Alan Hatherley, Daskalu, beautifully pimped out in his Romanian colours, the national champion, on his bike. I'll say there are some special bikes here. Sebastian Finney, the Norwegian champion, is riding a bike that's a throwback to the very first gold medalist here. Bart Brenchens in 1996 won the very first gold medal in Atlanta. An American Eagle Atlanta bike, and it was a 26er with V brakes and 3x9, and Sebastian Finney is riding the American Eagle Atlanta 2.0, and it's spec'd out very differently, but it is of a similar paint job. Really looks cool. Meanwhile, Pidcock has put the hammer down, and he's attacked to get away from the Swiss when he's not dropping Schurter in a hurry. And the bobbing head of Flukiger drags himself back, but Anton Cooper is going to have to work hard here to stay in the hunt for a medal. Takes a bottle at the tech zone. They sweep through the tech zone twice on a lap.
So good to see Tom Pidcock putting such experienced riders, the veterans of the sport, and Schurter under pressure and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm in the battle for this gold medal. And let's see how far Anton Cooper is behind. He's got to try and catch back up. As Tom Pidcock keeps going, he's applying the pressure. The Swiss are feeling it now.
Unbelievable. This is Tom Pidcock showing his immense talent and skill on the bike. And yeah, he's putting two of the very best to the sword at the moment. 35 and 32, Schurter and Flukiger respectively.
And after that broken collarbone for Pidcock as well, these rocks wouldn't be doing the collarbone any favours.
Yeah, he was amazing. Knocked off his bike whilst doing a training ride on the road in Andorra. Operated very quickly and was on the bike within days.
Yeah, that's something I've experienced too. Once they put a pin in the collarbone, if it's a clean break, and it's nearly like when you break your collarbone, you do really want to break it in half, because once they pin it, it's ready to go the next day. As long as you can handle a little bit of discomfort, it's good as new straight away. So for Tom Pidcock, he is on fire. He's putting everyone under pressure. You can see just by the body language and the facial expressions there.
Well, he's a really confident young man, is Tom Pidcock. And, yeah, little whip as he goes over the rocks. And he's showing that confidence here. He's got such belief. Look at the caution. Yeah, I don't think he's got a drop up. He hasn't. Mathieu Vanderpool. Well, dropper seat posts, full suspension bikes, 29er wheel size, all of these things, disc brakes, electronic shifters, all bringing these bikes into the 21st century. They are high-tech machines ridden by the very best. Up and out of the climb and onto the start finish. It's Pidcock, Schurter, Flukiger and Cooper. With 4 laps to go, he'll roll aside and say, well, who's going to do the work now? I put the attack in to create the gap. Who is going to work now? Well, I tell you what, Schurter and Flukiger will be concerned with what they've seen on that lap and how Pidcock put in the attack to open the gap.
Yeah, I think they will be, and I don't think it was expected. They wanted to take control of the race, and then here comes young Tom Pidcock that absolutely puts them under pressure when they least expected it. But it's everyone taking a little bit of a breather. Mathieu Vanderpool is losing time to the leaders. A disappointing Olympic Games.
What is very pleasing to see is that Mathieu Vanderpool is riding on. We've seen it sometimes when riders have an early crash. We saw it from the various champions of the past where they decided to bin it if they had no opportunity of winning the race. Athlete up into 8th place now, the South African champion. As Pidcock again goes to the front up that early climb and puts a hammer down on the climbs. This is his strength. Schurter's digging deep. He wants to work these riders over. Sink has come back into the frame. Koretsky's there. But Pidcock is going. Oh, a slip out from Schurter.
And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to put the riders under pressure, and he certainly is. This is such an exciting race. Well, did we expect Tom Pidcock, to be the aggressor of the race? He is really showing the Swiss riders that he's here to battle for that gold medal.
Well, this is really the future of us. Oh, another slip. But as we've said, this is going to get dusty and slippery. One mistake here could be the end of a medal hope for these riders. But the future of mountain biking, Tom Pidcock really is laying it down here. Mind you, he's such an all-rounder. He can pick and choose. But as he said, he was born to mountain bike. This is his game, he feels. Little step-ups as they come up this climb. Andres Sink and Victor Koretsky. These 6 riders have put some distance. Now look at the slip here from Schurter. Oh!
Just hit a little grass bump there. Lost the back wheel.
Cooper's attentive riding saw him pick that up and just avoid it. Slightly different lines from these riders. As the course wears, various parts will get softer and less predictable. And riders learning that and picking harder lines and higher lines to avoid the dust and powder.
Isn't it interesting that Saru's not up here with the leaders battling this out at this point of the race?
Yeah, Jordan Saru, the world champion from a year ago in Legang, hasn't yet won a World Cup. He was third in Leger, showing some return to form. He's really good in the rain, I must say. That's one of his real strengths, but he's not going to get any of that today. France have such depth there. Their national champion isn't even here, Maxime Marot. Saru finished down the pecking order in the national championships. Titouan Carra is another rider. Max Griot is another. All three of those missing out on selection here. Pidcock, a couple of seconds to Schurter. Cooper now in the bronze medal position. Flukiger in fourth place.
Yeah, Flukiger, he looks like he's starting to tire as Anton Cooper tries to get across to the wheel of Schurter. Interesting that the race has already broken up now. These three riders, or four riders, battling it out. Anything can happen. We see on those technical parts of the course that this race is not over until the finish line. Anything can happen.
Well, Cooper, it's redemption for him, yeah, as you were saying, Rochelle. He missed out on riding and racing despite many appeals to race in London. Too young at the age of 18 there, but then did race, but was ill in Rio de Janeiro. Third in Leogang and second in Nova Mesto, Anton Cooper. In third this year in Leogang, but in 2018 he and Nino Schurter took it to the line in Nova Mesto, and Schurter just pipped him in a sprint finish. He knows how to mix it. He's not fearful of the experience and the palmares of a man like Nino Schurter. As Mathieu Vanderpool continues to dig his way through this field. He's in 15th place at the moment, Vanderpool, but he gives away 64 seconds to this man, Tom Pidcock. Well, real credit to the course designer here, Nick Flores. He designed the courses in London and Rio, but this is something extraordinary that the man from Pietermaritzburg's come up with. Cut his teeth designing stage race courses down in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, but he's developed a global reputation, and one can see why. A wonderful, wonderful course. Test the very best. Look at the gap now.
This is interesting. This is exciting for Great Britain. They've got Tom Pidcock just forming a gap to Schurter, and that was unexpected. We could see that Schurter was trying to hold the wheel, and Cooper chasing Flukiger. He knew that he had to do this, Tom Pidcock, but Schurter, he didn't want to let that wheel go, and it's opening up. The gap is opening up.
That's as big a gap as we've seen in this race.
That's actually Flukiger in second place.
Flukiger, yeah. There he comes, Flukiger. Schurter has disappeared off the back of this group like a stone. That's unbelievable. The defending champion has dropped power. Cooper is on his wheel, and potentially an opportunity for the New Zealander to win a medal here. What an opportunity for young Tom Pidcock up front. Just pushes his glasses nonchalantly onto his nose once more, and flicks right and down onto the course. It's game on here. Only 12 riders have won medals in the men's mountain bike in 7 events. Oh, in 6 events, that is. So this is a very, very sought after medal. 4 gold medalists.
It just looks to me that Tom Pidcock's more in control. You can see him just taking it easy through those little sections, and then he applies the pressure when the circuit gets a bit tougher. Here's Schurter with Cooper on the wheel, and he's fighting. He did not expect this from the youngster Tom Pidcock. How exciting for the team of Great Britain to be watching this and being so inspired. So many people being inspired by the youngsters' ride here so far today. The Olympic Games in Tokyo. You can see the hurt and pain of this course. It's just relentless. There's nowhere where they can actually relax. They've got to keep the pressure on and stay concentrated continually throughout this circuit.
Tom Pidcock of Great Britain put the hammer down on lap 2, attacked the Swiss combination of Schurter and Flukiger, passed them both in one fell swoop. and has taken the lead, and really now opening up a sizable gap as Milan Farda, Vlad Daskelu, Jordan Saru, and behind him is the Spaniard David Valero, who now gets past the world champion, who's having a battling day, is the Frenchman. Well, the world waits expectantly to see whether this man can hold it all together. There's no reason to say he can't. He won by a minute in Nova Mesto in that World Cup, and he is putting them all under pressure. Flukiger digging so deep as Mathieu Vanderpool hangs on and hangs in. Brave ride from the Dutchman after that huge fall. Question is, did he go too early, too hard? Pidcock will wait and see. Flukiger is going to be there to pick up the pieces if there is any flagging from this man, Pidcock.
Yeah, and don't forget how hard he had to work off the start line too, with a powerful start on line 4. That can play with psychology as well for some riders, but Tom Pidcock didn't faze him, moved straight towards the front, and now he's the one that's in control of this bike race.
Well, now does he bring in a degree of caution and just pace himself through here? He's been here for 2 weeks, Tom Pidcock, getting to know the course. There is Cooper putting pressure on Schurter. Koretsky closing in on this pair.
You'd have to think about the emotions that would be going through Schurter's mind at the moment. Surely he would have thought that he could at least be up there with his teammate and the youngster Tom Pidcock, putting them both under pressure. Does he lose his adrenaline and fight, or does he fight back? Very interesting position for Schurter to be in. I'm sure he thought that he would be one of the fittest, and the course suits him really well as well. So, but you can have an off day. He's shaking his head. Well, that's that's actually Flukiger.
Yeah. You know, in the last 13 years, Nino Schurter has been utterly dominant in almost all of them, and has won, at least one, but multiple races every year. He has yet to win a race at any level this year. And that's a man who's won 91 races through his career. So he would have had an idea that this was going to be a serious challenge for him on all fronts. The challenges from Matthias Flukiger, the man who beat him at the Swiss National Championships and has won the last 2 World Cups. Pidcock, who won at Nova Mesto, who flies over the rocks looking totally at home. Look at that rear tyre, almost partly flattening out at landing on the rock. What a talent this young man is, Tom Pidcock. Cyclocross superstar, and a star on the road as well.
Oh, he looks strong, Tom Pidcock. Flukiger's just all over the bike, head swaying side to side. He's really feeling it, whereas Tom Pidcock just looks composed. And now we see Schurter and Anton Cooper just looking around, sharing the work.
Yeah, this is the fight for the bronze medal now, you feel. Cooper, Schurter, and Victor Koretsky. And then Andres Sink in 6th place. Well, the battle for the gold medal looks to be in the hands at the moment of this man, Tom Pidcock. 5th at Strade Bianchi, 6th at Flèche Wallonne on the road. He won Brabantse Pijl as well. So a great classic season. And then the focus was pretty much all on the Olympics, but he had that bump in the road when he broke his collarbone. Well over that. Got back, had a race at Ligier, and is now flying at the sharp end of the biggest race in the year.
Yeah, and it's his race to lose now, Tom Pidcock. He's just got to stay cool, not let the pressure get to him, but he looks like he's mastering that to this point. Very, very calm on the bike there. Can he handle the pressure at Olympic Games? Basically having the gold medal in his hands at this point.
Yeah, I reckon he's a young man who has yet to really understand what it is to be winning it and battling away and leading these big names. And so the pressure is just probably not there. He's just like, I'm going to ride and ride my best race and ride a mountain bike race. He hasn't ridden too many at this level.
That's the advantage of being so young and fearless. It's not going over your mind. It's just like, I want to get out there and have a go tomorrow. And he's certainly doing that. 22 years of age. What an inspiration for people wanting to get in. It's making me want to get out on the mountain bike.
Yeah.
This course, if I had one here, I'd love to just, I mean, it's obviously a lot more technical than they make it look. Very tough course.
Yeah, rest assured, this is a brutally hard technical course. But look at the caution that he's showing now, Tom Pidcock. Is Alan Hatherley in 7th place for South Africa. Under 23 world champion. He was a silver medalist the year before in 2017. Changed trade teams and showing some good form this year. But he's got to work hard to get into a medal position from this distance at 7th place. Meanwhile, Flukiger is doing the chasing through the woods.
Looks like he's losing a little bit of distance through those technical aspects of the course. Just a little bit. Each time we see Tom Pidcock go through the feed there, takes a bottle, but very composed.
He'll have a chance to look down from that position as he climbs away from the tech zone one more time to assess the gap. And, well, Matthias Flukiger, winner of 4 World Cups in his career, he has to put everything to bed now and throw everything he can at Thomas Pidcock. Goes through the split now. We'll see the gap. 6 seconds. Lap 5. So they've got to really dig deep here. Cooper looks over his shoulder and knows that Schurter is lurking. And this trio are fighting it out for the bronze medal, but they'll know one slip here. Cooper, Schurter and Goretzky. And they will have a 4th man on their wheel. They're 39 seconds adrift of Tom Pidcock. Quite astonishing performances. Flukiger just trying to maintain that gap and keep him in sight.
He's maintaining that gap, but I just feel that Tom Pidcock is not under as much pressure as Flukiger. Is really fighting the bike. It might be just his natural style, but if you look at Tom Pidcock, he just seems to be all in control. And we saw the time gap was 6 seconds, but as we know in mountain bike racing, it's more about who's looking the strongest, who's controlling their bike the best, who's feeling the most fatigue.
Jens Schuurmans, the Belgian champion there, finding it. Oh! That's how hard it is. Hesitation is devastation, and down he goes. No hesitation from Tom Pidcock. The 21-year-old from Leeds is absolutely hammering this course and hammering the best riders in the world.
And he's making it look so easy, isn't he, with his how fluid he is over those technical parts. He doesn't seem to be under too much pressure, just staying in control. This would be an amazing story if the 22-year-old can take this Olympic title. He's got a huge career ahead of him. Early days, and he's won so many big bike races, especially in cyclocross, and now riding his way potentially to an Olympic gold medal.
Well, he put in all the hard work after his crash. He did find that it was the first time he'd broken a bone. I mean, amazing.
It is amazing.
Every single one of these riders would have broken at least one and multiple at some stage in their careers, but Tom Pidcock has yet to, until his crash when he was knocked off his bike, so it wasn't even an accident on the track. And the healing process was something he had to learn and get used to, and the energy it took to heal, but he was soon back on the bike.
Yeah, if it's the first bone that you've broken, it would be mentally tough not knowing how quickly my body recovers from a broken bone, but obviously he's had it pinned and plated and hasn't really affected him. He's just one of those riders, as we say, so young with no fear that it's all about just the next time I can get out on my bike and try and hurt the other riders.
Well, a 21-year-old might come to their first Olympic Games and think, well, I'll use this as a bit of experience to build towards the potentially going to the next and the next. But Tom Pidcock arrived here with one ambition, and that's to win the gold medal. And right now, he's in prime position. But look at Matthias Flukiger. Is he closing that gap?
It looks like he is. He's riding a bigger gear. He's just looking very, very strong on this part of the course.
Oh!
That must be so disappointing, the amount of effort he put in to close down that gap. And then to get your momentum going, the legs must be burning after that.
Well,
so disappointing.
He has, he has really good skill in the wet. And he has great experience at cyclocross as well. But he wouldn't want to have used his cyclocross skills right there. He was just starting to look at closing that gap down to 5 seconds. It was 6 at the previous time check. And it now would have ballooned out a little bit more. Cooper now starting to put the hammer down on Schurter on the climb. Trying to hurt the Swiss legend. 8-time world champion. Gold, silver and bronze medalist at the Olympics. 30 World Cup wins. Is this, for Nino Schurter, a sign that perhaps the reign of the great Swiss rider is coming to an end as the most dominant rider in mountain bike cross-country racing?
Well, there's a new generation coming through with the youngsters like Tom Pidcock and Anton Cooper. The youngsters are pushing the more experienced riders in this race.
I mean, Pidcock, talking just a few days ahead of the Olympic Games, is talking about, rather nonchalantly, as a young man would, is I'm going to, go for the mountain bike here, and then in 2024 in Paris, I'll have a go at the road race and the time trial. And multidisciplinary riders are not unusual nowadays. It's becoming a modern trend, as we see with Mathieu Vanderpool as well. Wout van Aert, cyclocross and on the road. But the confidence with which they approach their events and this man has approached this discipline is quite astonishing. No bottle on his bike. He just takes one at the tech zone, sweeps through, quick sip, waters himself down, and 13 seconds. Look at the pain on Matthias Flukiger. He is busting himself to get back to within 5 or 6 seconds of Pidcock. Phenomenal effort by all these riders, but Tom Pidcock in particular. Cooper, Schurter and Koretsky, the 3 men who are likely to battle it out for the bronze medal.
Yeah, the layout of the course does give them a few opportunities to see where the riders behind them are. So as we see Tom Pidcock just staying very cool. He's got to stay cool at this part of the race. Obviously never been in a position like this, so it's a new experience for him. You don't want to be thinking too much about, oh, I could be winning a gold medal here. You need to stay focused every inch of this course, and he's doing a tremendous job. There's still some racing to go. Anything can happen.
Remember, this man wasn't ranked high enough because he didn't have enough cross-country points to qualify directly. He only earned a point position once the UCI released a quota spot after he'd won in Novo Mesto. And here he is, leading. Big battle for the bronze medal here. Cooper, what a ride by the New Zealander.
Yeah, it's so good to see Cooper having a good ride so far with his not being able to start at the 2012 Olympics and falling ill for the 2016 Olympics, and now he's in medal contention, fighting it out with the best. Flukiger. He's still got power in the legs. Even though he doesn't look as smooth and calm as Tom Pidcock, he's still got some power in those legs. Cooper leads one of the best of all-time mountain bike riders, Schurter. And he's Tom Pidcock as he crosses the line. He would have had a quick look over his shoulder.
2 laps to go, and Tom Pidcock of Great Britain leads the mountain bike race here. Matthias Flückiger, well, he's recovered a second or two. He's 11 seconds adrift of the British rider. The four-man, the man currently ranked number 1 in the world, Matthias Flückiger, on the overall World Cup standings. And here is the battle for third place and the bronze medal. Cooper, Anton Cooper, the New Zealander from Christchurch, looks over his shoulder and he sees Matteo. Oh, there he goes. So a brave ride by Matteo Vanderpool, but his race has finally come to an end.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does have some broken bones, maybe ribs. He's been in a bit of pain, so he's called it a day. Very disappointing, but I'm sure we'll see him back in another 4 years' time, 3 years' time in Paris for the Olympic Games there. He said that this was not his main goal. It was the next Olympics, but he's been here for the experience. Ended pretty quickly. Just trying to check out what part of his body's hurting. He's holding his hip.
In the battle for third place, and he said, thanks very much, I'm going to the front of this and I want that bronze medal more than you guys, and he's gone up there. The Czech rider had a disappointing start, having started on the front row. He was down outside the top 10, but has worked his way right back into contention here for a medal. And Sink, well, he's also got some pedigree on the road, having spent a couple of years riding for Bahrain Merida. He rode the Tour de France in 2017, abandoned after 19 stages. Must have been injured or hurt, because you get that close to Paris, you don't want to abandon for any other reason other than you have to. Well, Nino Schurter, who would have expected the challenge to have come from a man of as little experience at this level as Tom Pidcock, but here it is.
He's just got to be the marshal now. He's just got to stay cool. You can see that he's still trying to gain more and more time. But what an outstanding performance. Tom Pidcock, he is going to be a superstar at the age of 21, 22, is he yet? I think he's still got his birthday to come.
Yeah, 22 at the end of the week. Well, what's left for Tom Pidcock? Plenty, of course, in a young man's career ahead of him. But who's to say he won't turn his attention to downhill?
Downhill, Tour de France rider.
He's got the skills, there's no question about it. He's a real lightweight, he can climb. He had a great classic season. I will see him next year challenging for one of those classics in Belgium. Here he goes, though, in Tokyo. 12-second lead on lap 6 of 7. Flückiger, medalist in the World Championships as far back as 2012, beg your pardon, in the World Championships. Second for the last 2 years. Jordan Sarru last year. That looks like Sink. That looks like Andreas Sink in the forest there. Well, he went hard and took the bronze medal position. Indeed it is the Czech Republic rider, having attacked and got himself into bronze medal position. Looks like he's got a mechanical. And that is a sorry way, a flat tire. Wow.
He'll be disappointed.
Desperation for Andrej Sink. It's a cruel sport, and his hopes of a medal are gone. Just when he'd put the hammer down, there it is. And his race is over. He'd done so much hard work to get himself into contention, and he punctures. Looks like the whole tyre has lost its sealing. There's Tom Pidcock now just navigating his way with a degree of caution. He'll know he's just got to keep it steady here. He has not put a foot wrong.
No, to now he's had an absolute perfect ride, and as he puts a little bit more distance into Flugiger, he can actually afford to be a bit cautious.
Well, he's a man of immense talent and a wonderful, relaxed demeanour. Shortly before the lockdown a year ago, well over a year ago now, he was in South Africa racing a very small little cross-country event just outside Stellenbosch, and he won that. Little did he know that 2 days later the whole lockdown would happen, and he wouldn't ride a cross-country race again until this year, and he certainly made it count. Winning a Nova Mesto, one more in Leger, and now the biggest one of them all, the Olympics. Meanwhile, the battle for bronze, Schurter's got one of those already in his collection of 3 medals. Bronze in London. I beg your pardon, bronze in Beijing, London, silver and gold in Rio. But an intense battle going on here. Well, there's the gap. The chase group now well behind Pidcock. They fly. Ooh, just a little short on the landing there, Koretsky.
You can
cannot blame them.
After we saw the Matthew Vanderpool crash on that section, I was thinking as the fatigue sets in, we might see some other riders struggle there. But one thing I was thinking about Tom Pidcock is, if he's been here 2 weeks before the event, that's actually quite a long time in comparison to some of the other athletes, and definitely playing into his advantage. And Sink there absolutely devastated.
There cannot be much you could say to Andrej Sink, the 30-year-old from the Czech Republic. He's had such good form this year. Couple of second place, not been outside the top 5 in fact in the 4 World Cups, 2 seconds, 2 fourths, and is in great shape and launched his attack at the right moment. But now it is Schurter who's gone to the front.
Schurter's putting the pressure on. Yes, Schurter's putting the pressure on now. He wants to be in the running for a medal here at the Olympics, and he's trying to drop the other riders. As we see Anton Cooper just fight to stay on the wheel. They've got some pressure from behind as well, so they do need to pick up the pace if they don't want other riders in contention.
Making his way stealthily through the field here, Valero Serrano, the Spanish rider, 9th in Rio. And Daskaloo has fought back well as Alan Hatherley's lost a few places. He's in 8th place, Daskaloo now in 7th place. A little battle going on there for the minor placings. It'll be of rich value to these riders to finish inside the top 10, but out of the saddle again, Tom Pidcock. He's making every stroke count here, holding nothing back.
Yeah, it looks like Tom Pidcock is really using those safe areas to put the hammer down, take it a little bit easier on the technical sections, make sure nothing goes wrong, but just to try to use his power and strength on the safer parts of the course to put a little more distance into Flugiger. And the interesting battle here going on for the bronze medal position.
Absolutely riveting battle, because it's Schurter and Koretsky. Koretsky beat Schurter in the first round in Alpstadt earlier this year. And that was a real surprise. I mean, Schurter at the start of the season No one really knew what form was like, and everyone expected Schurter to pull that one out, and Koretsky was the man. Yeah, that's very familiar style of Matthias Flückiger, bobbing and weaving. For other riders, it's a telltale sign of fatigue, but that's just Matthias Flückiger's, well, I'm fine. This is how I ride. And rock steady, rock solid, rock star is Tom Pidcock. Flückiger keeping it steady and safe. A silver medal in the offing for the 32-year-old from Switzerland.
And behind him, there's a ferocious battle going on for the bronze medal position as Flückiger just gets through that section. Tom Pidcock, so cool, calm and collected. He is making it easy. He's making it look really easy compared to watching the style of Flückiger and the battle going on for bronze.
Beautiful course, and wonderful to have some spectators out here. And over the bridge goes Pidcock. Tom Pidcock, not Tim Podcock, as he goes up the climb once more.
Oh, the emotions he must be feeling, getting so close. Still got more than a lap and anything can happen, but he's composed, he's determined, and he's in the zone. Tom Pidcock, can he win an Olympic gold medal at the age of 21?
One lap to go for Tom Pidcock in the cross-country event at Tokyo Summer Olympic Games on an overcast hot day at the Izu mountain bike park. And the young man from Great Britain has thrown the gauntlet down to the good and the great of the sport, including the informed Matthias Flückiger, the world #1, by 14 seconds in second place now. Surely only a miracle or an upset up front for Pidcock would give Flückiger a chance at gold. This is the battle for the bronze medal. Cooper, a glance at the camera perhaps. Serrano, the Spaniard, comes into the picture. Carlos Coloma took the bronze medal in Rio. Hermida is a former medalist for Spain. Well, they'll all look around now. On the previous lap, it was Sink who joined this group. Now it's David Valero Serrano, the Spaniard, who has not gone better than second in a World Cup. He was second at Nova Mesto in 2017. Well, Pidcock, as I said, one of only 6 riders to have won a World Cup in this field. And he's on the final lap. Crowd starting to move down towards the finish line to get a look at the finish of this event. Flückiger is brother Lucas, high-class rider, of course, as well, but not at this level any longer. The two wonderful entertainment at stage races like the Cape Epic years ago as a young combination. Look at these 4 riders. Schurter to the front in the battle for bronze. This is going to be where the racing's at on this lap, that's for sure.
This is the ferocious battle for the bronze medal, and Schurter trying to put everyone under pressure. The Spaniard Valero Serrano, he is there. We go back to Singh. He's not so happy about that puncher. That has ended his Olympic dream here. You can see there, so frustrated. Must have been so many emotions going through his mind on the way through and back to the tech area. Well, the man of the moment.
Smooth as silk, is he? He's just so skillful. He's shown not a chink of nerves His skills have been outstanding. He'll take the bottle. He'll come through the bottom side of the tech zone once more. And then it'll be on the way.
Well, you could see there he took his first bottle and took a sip of it and discarded it. Second bottle was just the cold water for his back. Try and keep cool. Fortunately, it's not as hot as it has been for the road races, but you can see each time the riders go through here, they'll have specific things they want to be handed for each lap. Flukiger has got a big chase on his hands for the last lap of this Olympic Games road race in Tokyo if he wants to take the gold medal from in form, super composed Tom Pidcock riding his way to a gold medal.
And in silver medal position is Flukiger. Here's the split. Pidcock rolls through down the rock garden. Goes Serrano now in third place, followed by Schurter. Anton Cooper desperate. This is the real battle here. No one wants to finish outside the top three. Beautifully smooth.
Unbelievably smooth. He's just his fitness and strength levels have allowed him to get that break, and then once he's got that break, he can just flow through all of the technical sections. He's not riding completely on the limit, as we now see Flukiger on the chase. 21 seconds behind Pidcock. Valero Serrano, he wasn't on the favourites list for anyone, but he's now in contention for a medal with Schurter and Cooper. And they've got riders pretty close behind too, so a bit of a group coming together for the bronze medal chase.
Yeah, it could be a real battle out there. Serrano, Schurter, Cooper, Koretsky, Daskelu, Hatherley, Jordan Saru finding his legs late on. Tall man is David Serrano from Spain. Schurter. Well, there's a bit of a gap opening up. No, and that's what can happen. 1 foot down, and your rival is on your wheel, and it's none other than Schurter. He's getting quite washed out that corner, and yeah, he's just tightening his shoes as Pidcock drops down. A little drop off once again. Astonishing ride by a highly skilled and talented young man. The focus is shown. A lack of nerve. Oh, yes, he was nervous for sure, but he certainly didn't show it at any stage as he had to make his way from 29th position on the grid, 4th row through the field. Look at that gap.
And number 1 in the world chasing him down. Tom Pidcock ranked 15th, but of course that's because he has other interests in other disciplines. But Flukiger, he's on the chase. Tom Pidcock under no pressure.
Well, I think that is one of the hallmarks of this young man. Total confidence and relaxed approach to his sport. He has a passion for riding a bike. Born to ride a mountain bike. He certainly is showing he is here today. And immense amounts of confidence, but above all, ability.
His ability is phenomenal, and they've known that now for the last few years, and he's had people pulling him in all different directions. Can you imagine after potentially winning the gold medal here in Tokyo, how many different opportunities in different disciplines and teams and sponsors, people wanting to write stories and books on him? He's going to have he'd need to have a really good manager or agent to handle that kind of stuff, because what he's achieving is phenomenal.
That big rock drop, consistently getting further along on or getting the most air is Nino Schurter. Every lap, but he's right on the heels of Serrano. Cooper slipping off the pace a little here. The chance for a bronze medal for New Zealand is looking unlikely. Pidcock sweeps down. One more time. What's going through his mind now? Savouring the opportunity, saving the moment. No. Focus. Get to the finish line.
That's right. I think if his mind does drift off to being an Olympic champion, he has to bring it back to concentration, because this is a course where it can come unstuck pretty quickly. He really needs to stay focused on his lines, not let his mind drift off to what is about to happen, but just stay extremely focused. Here's this ferocious and exciting battle for the third place bronze medal here at the Olympic Games. And it's Serrano putting the pressure down now.
This is Vlad Dascu, the Romanian champion, who's brought himself, whoops, he's ridden outside those feathers. They've been warned, the riders, not to drop outside of those. But I think it may just be too late for him. So, under the bridge one more time for Tom Pidcock.
As we said before, this is where he gets out of the saddle, tries to pick up the pace and really put some pressure on the pedals to maintain his gap. Wanting to take it a little bit more cautious when he's in these technical sections.
Through the tech zone one last time for Tom Pidcock of Great Britain. Doesn't take a bottle, doesn't take anything. He knows what he has to do now. That is to get himself safely to the finish line. Once more through that Karansui rock garden. Then drop down through the Izu Peninsula, and the finish line beckons. Flukiger. Oh, there's a big gap now.
Tom Pidcock, he has got a big job on his hands. If he wins this race for the next few years, with so many different people wanting him to focus on different disciplines, and Ineos, they'll want to get hold of him and make him into a Tour de France rider. Looks like his passion's on the dirt, though. He loves his cyclocross, he loves his mountain bike riding. But then the big checks come out and it all gets a little bit confusing. But Tom Pidcock, what a sensational ride, what an amazing athlete at just the age of 21.
Well, yeah, I think he's got ambitions of doing things like he wants to ride a downhill World Cup and some seriously challenging extreme events. Well, if he's going to be staying on the trade team he is now, I don't think they'll be allowing him too close to those too quickly. He's a precious commodity. He's not a commodity. He's a wonderful young man. Is Tom Pidcock, who's showing us his skills on the global stage in the most emphatic manner here at Izu Mountain Bike Park. Around the peninsula. This is the Izu Peninsula. He's closing in on the finish. Matthias Flukiger is a dozen seconds behind him. One last dig up this climb for Pidcock. He speaks of his skill on the climbs because he's a light man. He knows he's got an advantage up the climbs. He's a lightweight, he says, and you know what? I'll use that to my advantage. Here he goes. He takes the flag of the Union, looks down, and will look up at the finish line to see the glory of the gold medal awaiting him. Flukiger digs deep. Gold medal goes to Great Britain. Tom Pidcock is the latest. He is currently the finest young mountain biker around. He takes gold in Tokyo to Great Britain. Gold to Tom Pidcock from Leeds, from Yorkshire. What a ride by this young man. What a man. What a gold medal to put on his around his chest in a few minutes' time. Matthias Flukiger takes the silver medal in second place for Switzerland. 20 seconds adrift, the world number one. Now who's going to take bronze? It is David Valero Serrano of Spain. A second bronze medal for Spain in consecutive Olympic Games. What a charge late in the race. Schurter takes fourth, and the race goes to Koretsky, then Cooper, and in seventh place Vlad Dascu. But what a day for this young man, Tom Pidcock. Glory for Britain. And he joins the greats of Chris Hoy, Bradley Wiggins, Jason Kenny, Laura Kenny and the like as a British gold medalist at the Olympic Games, but the first in the mountain bike.
Oh, we just witnessed something very special with Tom Pidcock, the age of 21. He did come in as one of the favourites, but everything went right. It was the perfect ride today. Not a foot put wrong for Tom Pidcock, and now he gets to celebrate with all of his team. He knew he was capable of it, and he stayed so cool, calm and collected. The new Olympic champion, Tom Pidcock.
Oh, great ride by Pidcock. He put the hammer down and attacked the two Swiss riders on lap 2 and never looked back. Well, he was under pressure, but he showed such composure. Real delight from the young man from Leeds. Your gold medalist flying the rocks and flying the flag for Great Britain. The first British rider to win a gold medal in the mountain bike cross country. They've got medals on the track and on the road, but never before on the mountain bike. Helen Hatherley finishing in 8th place for South Africa, their best finish since the late Barry Stunder's 5th place in London in 2012. Filippo Colombo, as Jordan Saru, the world champion, takes in 9th place. Milan Vada 10th. Sintsov, the Russian champion from the Russian Olympic Committee, in 11th place. Colombo 12th. 3 Swiss riders in the top 12. Early aggressor Henrique Avancini, Brazil, in 13th. Christopher Blevins, a young man from the United States, a promising result from him. And the second of the Spanish riders, Estape, in 15th place. Well, what a day, and this is an excellent ride by the Chilean rider, coming in wonderful position. Bidore Kosman in 16th. And Max Feudal, the Austrian. Well, they've had plenty to celebrate over the last few days, the Austrians, particularly in the cycling discipline. And Jens Schurmans, the Belgian champion. Well, look over his shoulder. You'll see he will finish this ride in 18th place. Schurter outside the medals for the first time in 4 Olympic Games. Schurmans, Wowak, the Polish champion, in 19th place. It was a brutal race, but here is Tom Pidcock. Well, first of many, many interviews I'm sure he will be giving. And he's got a wonderful way in speaking about his passion for riding. Well, Gerhard Kirschbaumer has been a tough race for the Italian. And crossing a line just behind him, Max Brandl, the German. Nino Schurter, all smiles. Well, that's wonderful. Magnanimous from the great Nino Schurter, one of the, well, it's still up for debate, but certainly right up there with Julian Absalon, the double Olympic champion. This man has got all 3 medals and 8 world titles and 30 World Cup wins. And Sebastian Finney, the Norwegian, will roll across the line. And as I said, he's riding the bike that's in the image of the bike that won the first gold medal under Bart Brenchens in 1996 in Atlanta. Well, that was some race.
Certainly was an exciting race right from the start until the finish, and the strongest man today has taken the victory. Fortunately, no mishaps for Tom Pidcock. He was the man from the first lap, really sprinting out from the 4th line to take a good position, and just showing that he is all class and he is the star of the future when it comes to mountain biking, cyclocross, and potentially even on the road. We'll see if he does a mountain bike downhill race, but I can't see that one happening. precious goods, Tom Pidcock, from now on. We have experienced and witnessed one of the most sensational rides at an Olympic Games from Tom Pidcock of the Great British team here in Tokyo at the Olympic Games.
Humblest apologies to our viewers of Danish descent. It was, of course, Sebastian Finney Carstensen from Denmark who rolled across the line a little bit earlier. So what a scene. And Peter de Serra, well, his bike was embossed with real maple leaves to bring out the Canadian emblem. And this is a wonderful ride for Manuel Fumic in his 5th Olympic Games. Quite astonishing. The endurance of the oldest rider in the field, still going strong at the age of 39, hanging in for one more Olympic Games, is Manuel Fumic. And Luis Enrique Cocciuzzi is about to cross the line, the second of the Brazilians. They qualified 2 riders, thanks to the efforts of mainly of Henrique Avancini. And Manny Fumic, one of the great gentlemen of mountain biking, a former World Championship silver medalist in 2015, I think it was, or 2013, I think it goes back to. And Kohei Yamamoto finishes his 4th Olympic Games to a huge cheer from his home fans. Well, composure he's got. And he looks as cool as anything. He's just won the biggest prize in mountain biking. There's Dan McConnell. Rolls in well. Dan, his week's not over yet, the Australian champion, because his wife Rebecca will ride tomorrow as a serious medal contender in the women's race. But Dan McConnell rolls across now, the Australian champion. Another Olympic Games under the belt for McConnell, his 4th. Well, it was promised to be a hot day in Tokyo, and it certainly was, and the racing was piping hot all the way round. From the big crash from Matteo Vanderpool early on that wrecked the Dutchman's hopes of a medal today, to the early dominance by Flukiger and Schurter, to the blistering attack by this man, Thomas Pidcock, who put them under the sword and rode away from the best riders in the world. World number 1, Matthias Flukiger, also didn't put a foot wrong. A highly skilled ride by this man, but he just didn't have the firepower on the day to keep in touch with Pidcock. And a late charge through the field by Serrano has brought Spain the medal. And that is so cool. The youngest rider in the field, Alex Miller from Namibia. He's just 20. Well, he's not much younger than this man. Wheelies across the line. But Tom Pidcock turns 22 on the 30th of this month, and he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Well, he's taking it in his stride, isn't he? Olympic gold medal, just another box ticked, just another part of the career. It's nearly like he expected it. He knew his form was there, he knew the course really well, and his form was there, and that was a question mark after the broken collarbone, but it was no doubt that he was the strongest man of today's race. So maybe he's not too surprised about the gold medal, and just still feeling a little bit of hurt from the heat exhaustion, and then we'll see the emotions really come out probably this evening when he realised, I've got a gold medal at the Olympics.
Andres Parti, the Hungarian, crosses the line. Having finished the race, it's an honour to do just that. 10 minutes and 19 seconds behind the overall winner, Tom Pidcock, in 1:25.14. 7 brutal laps of this course. Well, he's getting his own cheer. Parti, the 38-year-old, in his 4th Olympic Games. What an opportunity. And he'll look up at the results board and think, well, you know what? I finished this race. And that's an honour indeed, as they're still out there. Shlomi Haimi, the Israeli, in his second games. And he's putting the finishing touches to this course. So, the Israeli, not the national champion at this stage. Oh, Koei Yamamoto gets congratulations from his Japanese fans. What an honor and a privilege to ride your home Olympic Games. As Haimi from Israel finishes 11:44 down.
Absolutely exhausted. Gave everything to get to the finish, and that's the spirit of the Olympic Games. No matter how much it hurts, he'll feel a sense of achievement. He just kept pedaling, no matter how much it hurt. I'm here for Israel. I've done the nation proud here at the Olympic Games.
And you get an idea of just how hard this event is, because they're all absolutely shattered regardless of where they finish. Tom Pidcock in an hour 25:14. Thomas Pidcock winning the men's cross country, hour 25:14. Silver to Mateus Flukiger, and Velaro Serrano taking the bronze. All the way down to Kirschbaum. He'll be disappointed with his 20th place, having started on the front row. But that's the brutal nature of cross-country mountain bike racing. Takes no prisoners. Dan McConnell down in 30th place. Koei Yamamoto, the Japanese rider, 7 minutes and 21 seconds down. Alex Miller will be proud of his achievement, the youngest rider in the field from Namibia. They've had an excellent cycling week here in Tokyo.